Lombardi's ball.
The Green Bay Packers have won the Super Bowl. Does he have a vintage moment in the end zone? It is caught for the win.
The Green Bay Packers are going to be world champions, NFL champions for the third straight year. What the hell's going on out here?
Jones, look at that balance. Aaron Jones, see ya. Rodgers, four-man rush, gonna float it down the seam. Adams has it, and he's in. Touchdown, Packers. 2nd and 6. Zadarius Smith. The beat goes on.
Welcome in, Green Bay Packer fans. Hope you are enjoying the official start of the NFL offseason now that we are past the draft. I am your bartender for Lombardi's Bar, Dan Connick. Thank you for joining us today for our special draft coverage recap / excuse to talk up to NFL legends. We don't really need to make an excuse. We're just going to come on and bullshit here on Lombardi's Bar like we like to do. Let's bring in the two guys that we always have here with us on Lombardi's Bar. Two guys that are maybe second and third on Joe Thomas's favorite podcast partner list behind myself. The first one's Jimmy Christensen. Jimmy, welcome in, bud. How you doing?
Hello. I'm dandy. Is Todd in front of his camera or did he leave? Because
that's a great question.
He said, I forgot to pee before this. And I was like, is that him telling us he's not going to be here or what?
Well, let's see what's behind door number 2. Hey, Todd is here.
I'm still here, guys.
Todd.
I'm dedicated to the show. I'm going to gut this one out for us. I'll make it.
Well, you know what? We've got a half-hour long interview with Joe Thomas that will play. Plenty of time, I would hope.
Look, I know I was there for that. I don't want to miss any of it. It was good.
It was good.
Todd blacked out.
Blacked out there for a little bit. No, Todd's right. The Joe Thomas interview was hella good. It just seems like they get better and better every single time, almost.
Probably because we're not as nervous. That first time
I wanted to pee my pants.
Yeah. Todd was like, "Oh, you guys are."
Yes, Jason. This portion of the show is live.
We can hold up a newspaper with today's date to prove it if you want.
Because us putting up his comment, talking to him, that's not proof.
We actually can't
in
do
the
that
Lombardi's Bar. Everybody, welcome. Oh, hey, there's our interview.
Producer
Nick.
Nick.
Okay, Nick.
The good news is producer Nick figured out how to do it. So
that's the important part. Is Nick figured out how to get the interview up, and that's all I care about. Well, guys,
it's too good now.
I love every time he makes a mistake, and you can just see him back in the green room shaking his head,
and he's just like
he's just so disappointed in himself.
Like he beats himself up on it. I don't know why am I being kidnapped? Is it because I'm not wearing the garb? I'm trying to retire the garb. I don't want to keep wearing the shirt and tie.
No. During the season, you are bow tie man. Deal with it.
You have to, dude. It's your shtick.
Fine.
Yes.
But if it's off season, I'm going business casual in the off season then.
All right, fair
That's
enough.
fine.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
All right. Well, guys, I think none of this garbage that's fallen into our lap as Packer fans happened since the last time that we talked. So I don't have a drink special made up for you guys because like I told you, I left dinner like 5 minutes before the show started because I kind of forgot that it started at 8:30.
He physically assaulted his mother-in-law with a plate.
I threw dinner at my mother-in-law.
Dinner, just threw it right at her face.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So got down here. So the drink special for this in the off season. It sounds cliche, and it is maybe a little cliche. It's got to be whatever makes you happy because.
Yeah, that's cliche.
It is cliche. I made it up on the spot, but like. I don't want to try and force it. I almost thought about going like absinthe or something like that, where we can forget like everything that's going on. But I've been talking to my therapist recently, and you got to be kind to yourself. Be very just don't be so hard on yourself. And this is a very stressful time for a lot of Packer fans. I feel like whatever's going to help you get through the next 2 months or so, just do what makes you happy, man. And for me, I've just got a regular old Miller Lite. Jimmy, what are you drinking?
So we're breaking the news to you that this is now.
Dan doesn't know this yet.
Yeah, this is now
good.
This is now 2/3 a sober podcast related to a bar. So I'm drinking a non-alcoholic beer. I still enjoy my recreationals, but I'm cutting back on the alcohol. By cutting back, I mean not drinking.
I mean, like, we're looking for live reads. Is our first one going to be from like the Church of Jesus Christ for Latter-day Saints, like talking about the dangers of caffeine and sugar? And
me and the Mormons will probably like this. Honestly, I feel like
probably we are the biggest alcohol themed Packers show, and 2/3 of our show does not drink alcohol.
I drank enough last season to cover like the next 5 seasons. So I was averaging like 5 drinks a show. I think we're good.
I'm still waiting for you guys to catch up.
True.
Yeah, Todd's done enough in his life to
when you guys hit my career average, maybe we'll talk about
it. Fake bar.
Well, guys,
Matt, it might surprise you to find this out. Dan and I actually are not in bars. This most definitely is a fake bar behind me.
Hollywood magic.
I'm in a bar though. Those two aren't. I'm obviously in a bar.
Very clearly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to get. Can we? We're going to get back on track, right? That good for you guys? Is that?
Yeah, that works for me.
Agreeable to you?
Yeah, I prefer it.
We had a draft, guys, just 2 weeks ago. Packers.
We were here.
New Packers. We were here. Oh my God, we were here.
It was a long night.
That was a hell of a long night. That Thursday night really dragged on. It was almost Todd, you were there with me. What was tougher, the live stream for the Super Bowl or live stream for the first round of the draft?
I think the draft. The Super Bowl, there was just enough going on where the draft was like just waiting for that one moment.
Right.
It was actually something I cared about. The Super Bowl, I didn't care about either way. I think the really important question is, has your dad came around on Eric Stokes? Because his initial reaction wasn't real high.
I gotta find the clip of that. I should have clipped that right after it happened. Yeah, the family was not stoked on Eric Stokes right almost immediately. No, they honestly, and this leads right into our whole draft coverage. The pick of Josh Myers in the second round really turned him and the family around because being an Ohio State guy, we loved that. He's from my hometown. My dad knew him a little bit, was really excited to see when he went to Ohio State from Miamisburg. So he's a hometown kid that we all loved. And then of course, trading up to draft a wide receiver. It's Corey. They actually liked the wide receiver. I mean, it was finally getting a wide receiver. They just wanted a name. I think we're excited about it. What do you guys think? I think it's the first 2 nights are really what matters here. So out of the three picks there, Stokes, Myers, and Rodgers, the wide receiver. What's your takeaway from the first 3 picks for the Packers this year?
I just like that they drafted like last year's draft. And I said this on draft night too. Last year's draft was really preparing for the future and getting some picks like AJ Dillon, who didn't really play much last year. Jordan Love, obviously, with all of that. And this year's, it seemed like they're trying to go for that immediate impact drafting for the need that we had. So we hit 3 positions that everyone said were our 3 biggest needs. So we got our corner, our offensive lineman, hopefully to take Corey Linsley's spot, and then Randall Cobb 2.0 from when everything's coming out.
Todd?
Yeah, I'm on board with that. When you think about, like Jimmy said, AJ Dillon didn't really play a lot last year, but we did get a peek at what he's able to do. And then also with Josiah DeGuara, we got a small peek at him before he got hurt. We had a chance to talk to him on draft night. Sounds like he'll be ready to go for the start of the season. So, I mean, you're really getting, a couple of draft classes here. John Runyon, be able to see what he can do. A lot of that sophomore class didn't see a lot of time last year. And this was still a damn good football team. So I think having those guys ready to go, and if we can get contributions from Stokes, Rodgers, and Myers, that's just huge.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it, like Jimmy said, that nails it right on the head, is it addressed needs that needed to be done. Now we talked with I think we talked a little bit. I know I'm blending all of these podcasts together, but I talked with Eli and Janelle about this yesterday on the Pack a Day podcast. Eli kind of mentioned the same thing, was how he liked that it seemed like Gutekunst drafted to have guys that were going to play an impact this year as opposed to last year when it was for more. I think the difference is the situation is a little bit different in each time. And I think that was a real difference between what Brian Gutekunst has done in his first few drafts and what Ted Thompson was for most of his time. Ted Thompson was almost strictly best player available. I think there was definitely some that, like everybody says best player available. That's kind of how everyone goes, but it's really best player available on your board. And so you obviously, play your board to what your weaknesses are. But there were times where he just took straight up best player available, and I think it hurt the Packers more than it helped. And here,
yeah, like when he took Rodgers, that was awful.
Yeah, idiot.
I'm not saying, but why am I getting attacked for that?
I'm just pointing out that was a bad idea. I don't know why he would have taken best player available then.
If you let me finish my thought.
Why would we do that?
Last year, that's the mantra that he follows. Because you've got players coming into their second year under a new system, you're expecting a lot of those guys to take another big step forward. So you don't necessarily need the impact player right away, because you're expecting a lot of those guys. You're expecting a guy like Kevin King. You're expecting Tunyon. You're expecting those defensive guys to come back and play even better in their second year. Labo, shout out, buddy. You are the only one here now, apparently, that still drinks outside of me. But then this year,
too,
love you.
But then this year, it's different because you've lost a few of those starters from last year. You need to get more of those impact players to come in and start playing more, because you've already seen now, here's the threshold of everybody that's here. And now we want players that are going to come in and fill in. It's a different mentality, and you have to play it differently. You can't do every single year best player available, or just take, the guy that you love just because it's a player that you fell in love with. You play more to the needs of your team. I think that's what he did this year. I think it fit perfectly.
Yeah.
So
I'm really excited. I'm really excited about Royce Newman too. They were saying that he was, I think, was the only offensive lineman who took snaps at tackle, guard, and center at the pro day or Senior Bowl. I don't know, whatever they got together this offseason. And that kind of just fits what Goody loves for that offensive line. Versatility. We saw last year a bunch of injuries can happen, and we want to be able to shuffle people around and still have a productive offensive line. So I think we do have some solid picks. I think it really helps the team, and hopefully we can get a fucking Super Bowl.
Amen.
Did you guys see the tweet from Peter Bukowski yesterday comparing Aaron Jones and Amari Rodgers? Aaron Jones, 5'9", 208. Rodgers, 5'9", 212. Aaron Jones, 40, is a 4.56. Amari Rodgers is a 4.57. 1,007 for the broad jump for Jones, 1,001. 16 on the bench for Jones, and 19 on the bench for Amari Rodgers. So
they're the same person.
Yep.
Aaron Jones does have a twin, or doesn't he have he has a brother.
He's got a brother.
It's really just Amari Rodgers. Separated at birth.
Real quick, before we get into our interview here, let's run through some buy around, pay the tab. Todd, who are you buying around for here in the early part of the offseason post draft?
Matt LaFleur, not specifically for anything he's done, but you just feel bad for the dude. I mean, like, first 2 years, 13-3, NFC Championship game. And the drama that has came with the 3 off seasons that he's had now, the one leading into his first year last year, and then this one, obviously, just the guy literally just wants to coach. He's clearly a good coach. He wants to coach Aaron Rodgers. They seem to get along fine. And every time he turns around, there's speculation that Aaron's pissed off and that might not be his quarterback next year. So, Maddie, sit on down, have a beer, just
take a load off.
Let's relax for a little bit.
For real.
We'll put something else on the TV for him in the corner so he can just kind of zone out and do his thing.
What's the one thing? Let me ask you this. And I wanted to get us back on track, and now I'm taking this completely off. When you're at the bar and it's like 1 a.m., there's always one TV. Like when I was in college, there was like always one TV where they were playing like either an NBA game or one of the college football games on a Saturday night. And once the game is over, they don't change the TV and it goes back to whatever crap programming they have on Saturday night. What's the like show on the bar at 1 a.m. that's on mute that when you see it, you're like, that's the show I watch at the bar at 1 a.m. Because for me, it was Castle. It was always there was always an episode of Castle playing on a bar TV on mute at 1 a.m. at the bars.
I'm not gonna lie to you. My focus was not on the TVs at that point in time, and if they were, I was drunk enough that I have no idea what was actually on them.
Respect. Jimmy, do you have anything, or he just is?
Castle was one. For some reason, the dive bar by the gym that we'd always go to always had Impractical Jokers on, like always, and I was fine with it. I love that show, so I would sit there and half the time just tune out whoever's talking to me. But
there was one bar that we went to in the Cross that always had porn on. I think it might have just been Sundays. Actually, I think Sundays was just DVD porno night.
For the Lord.
Yeah.
What, like, when you say porn, are we talking about like the kind of stuff you find, like you would find on, like,
not on Skinamax?
Okay, so we're not talking. Yeah, we're not talking.
No, we weren't doing softcore.
You're seeing full.
It was DVDs that somebody full penetration, Dan. Yep.
Yeah.
Full, don't tell me they didn't bring DVDs. They really brought a DVD.
How else were you going to get hardcore porn on a bar TV in 2006?
I guess, yeah, you're right. I forgot. Look, how easily I forget. Back living in the dark ages of porn 10 years ago.
Yeah, we didn't have Pornhub back then. You had to download it from Napster and hope your computer was still alive when you finally got to watch it.
LimeWire.
LimeWire, yeah, makes your computer turn on sound like a jet engine taking off in your living room.
My parents were pissed.
Jimmy, who are you buying a round for?
I'm actually going with Todd's cousin Devontae. I think I don't know there's some comments he made on Colin Cowherd's show, The Herd or whatever, that were a little unsettling. With he would obviously have a lot of thinking to do if Rodgers wasn't his quarterback, but at the end of the day, I did really like that he said he's behind Rodgers 100%. It's just cool to see players have each other's backs, because that's what we asked Joe Thomas about. I was a little nervous with how stuff was in the locker room, if they take player sides, if they're kind of like, this is just bullshit, why are we doing this? So it was just cool to see our star, one of our top players besides Rodgers, kind of just come out in support of him, have his teammates back. But come back, Devontae. Please don't leave us.
Please, dear God. I'm buying a round for Brian Gutekunst because I think that he played this draft expertly. I think he, regardless of whether the picks turn out, like, you want to start with Eric Stokes. If Eric Stokes becomes a bust, he stuck to his guns. And I know that the sentiment is on Rodgers' side, and I agree. I think Rodgers has a legitimate beef going on. But he didn't let that pressure him. It didn't force him to make a panic decision, which is exactly what I was worried that he might do in a situation like that. I think he played the draft exactly like he wanted to. I think he got the guys that he was happy with. I think especially the Amari Rodgers pick. So I'm just glad he was able to block out that noise and focus and still pulled it off. I think pretty well over those 3 days. Jimmy, who needs to pay the tab?
Pay the tab. I'm going with Adam Schefter because he's a piece of shit, and I hope he never does anything ever for ESPN ever again. We had to do with all this bullshit. Seriously, all this bullshit right now. Like, we all knew what was like, we all heard random reports on Rodgers unhappy, and then all suddenly he made it seem like Rodgers himself just called him and said how he wants out of Green Bay. So, and just out of all days, I was finally looking forward to a normal fucking draft, and we didn't have it.
What really surprised me was how honest he was with Dan Patrick in that interview.
Yeah,
that is absolutely correct. I did not.
He very easily could have hidden behind the Big J shield and just said, like, look, out of my journalistic integrity, I can't give up my sources. I can't really reveal what was said and done that day. It is what it is. You know, it happened and we're moving on. Instead, he was like, oh, no, that wasn't breaking news. Oh, so when you said, hey, right after this commercial break, I've got breaking news, that's not what that was. Okay. Okay. Sorry.
I mean, technically it was because he was breaking the news.
Sorry that
it becomes breaking news when he breaks it.
Breaking news was coming, and we took that as breaking news. Our bad, Shefty. Our bad.
It's on us.
Look, I'm here just to argue semantics. The news doesn't become breaking until he breaks it.
But he wasn't breaking any news. He said
your leg's not broke till I break it either, Dan.
Right? No, but that's what I'm saying. Is if someone else breaks that news first, or if he does it, it becomes breaking news at the same time. So I mean, he's technically had breaking news. He was breaking the news at that moment.
Shut the fuck up, Dan.
It wasn't news. There was nothing to break. It was literally like, I watched a press conference 2.5 months ago, and it didn't seem like Aaron Rodgers was happy. And then they haven't given him an extension yet. So
there was there was more than that. Piling on
there was.
ESPN,
Kate Kumaro got cut a year ago.
He had sources though coming to him and talking to him.
He said he didn't have any sources.
He didn't have one specific source that came out and said that tidbit to him. He's had an accumulation of people coming to him, gathering stuff. Look, he didn't get like it. This isn't like Watergate where Deep Throat is sitting in the corner with a cigarette, being like, "Schefter, you're gonna shit your pants when I tell you this news. Aaron Rodgers wants out of Green Bay." I'm trying to play devil's advocate.
No, you're not playing devil's advocate. You love Adam Schefter.
Yeah.
You're in love with Adam Schefter.
Man,
you wish
I was a journalism minor in college.
Whoa, Big J journalist.
I stand up for the
Todd and I write articles too. We're pretty much journalists.
Yeah. Come at me, dude.
Yeah. Don't.
If you were getting blasted by Adam Schefter, I'd stand up for you.
Are you saying I don't have journalistic integrity?
That's offensive.
Okay. You're the one that said it.
You're drunk, Dan. You are drunk.
Maybe we should make it 3 out of 3 for being sober, Dan, because you're being a real dick.
Todd, who needs to pay the tab, Todd?
The defense. I've got them paying the tab this year. Once again, going with the defensive player in the first round. The Packers have been real heavy in the first round on their draft picks over the last decade. And it's time for the defense to really stand up and show that that's, an improvement. Where they have looked better, I would say, in the last couple of years compared to, years 5 through 10 going back. They really need to step up and start performing better.
Yeah, expert, especially with a new defensive coordinator and everything, like you said. Yeah, time is definitely up. Yeah, Todd has zero integrity.
I wish I could argue that
fire me. Yeah. My pay the tab. Jimmy kind of touched on it. Just like all I wanted was a draft that I didn't have to deal with garbage. I got it last year with Jordan Love, and you can talk about the pros and cons of the Jordan Love pick itself. But the only reason I actually hated the Jordan Love pick was it created all of this. It gave me a full offseason of garbage in the middle of a pandemic. It's created this situation now. It's going to be a situation of talking points for the next 20 years. The Jordan Love situation is going to be. All I wanted is just a draft weekend where I can bitch about drafting linemen in like the first round. That's all I want. Is it so much to ask for? It's all I wanted was just a nice simple draft weekend. And I guess that's Schefter's fault too.
Yeah, it's all fucking Schefter's fault. Literally, it's all his fault.
Dan, are you blaming God?
Always. Always. I'll save that for like week 9 when things start to turn south.
Week 9, give it like 2 weeks from now.
Jeez. All right,
June
let's
2nd.
get.
Hold on, things aren't turned south already?
No, it's just a little southeast right now.
Let's get to what the people came here for. Yesterday, we got to sit down, talk with our boy, Joe Thomas, future Hall of Famer. Reached out to us and wanted to talk about the Aaron Rodgers stuff. We got a good half hour here with him, talking everything. You've seen the clip of what he thinks the Packers should do with Aaron Rodgers. Make sure you listen to the rest of it. So, Nick, go ahead and play our interview with the great Joe Thomas. In our first, this is our first 3-time guest here at the bar, and it's pretty fitting that it's this guy again, official friend of Lombardi's bar, Joe Thomas, the future Hall of Famer, NFL Network. Joe, welcome back in, sir. How has the offseason been treating you so far?
It's been great. I got no complaints so far. It's been a fun offseason. I got an opportunity to go to the draft in Cleveland a couple of weeks ago, which was really cool, going back to the city that was my home for 12 years and getting to see sort of like the first kind of post-pandemic where people are together event. Everyone was still wearing masks, but it felt like kind of normal, and it gave me some real hope that we're going to be able to see full stadiums come the fall, and nothing would make me more happy than seeing all 32 NFL stadiums full of fans with people forgetting about the craziness and the awfulness of COVID and watching some awesome football come Sunday.
Do you think do you think fans are going to want to go to Lambeau even though there's like bleacher stadium seats? Like, do you think that's going to stop them going there?
I think that might be a big impediment, but hopefully the fans will find it within themselves, since they waited in line 100 years to get season tickets, to sit their asses on those cold aluminum bleachers, that they'll be willing to make that sacrifice to watch the Packers. And by the way, when you go to a Packer game, how often are you sitting down anyway? And if you are sitting down,
thank you.
It's probably because you're cold and you're sitting on your insulated hunting bibs anyway. So it really doesn't matter that you're sitting on steel or aluminum bleachers versus those cozy dome seats that you get when you sit in Minnesota in their fancy new stadium.
real quick, since Jimmy brought this up, I wanted to ask you about this. Adam Thielen came out, said that Lambeau Field is the worst stadium because they have bleachers. He hates playing that. As a player for you, what's the worst stadium you played in?
So I played in the old stadium in New York. I think it was like Veterans Stadium, Veterans Stadium was in Philly. I can't even remember the name of the old stadium. The Meadowlands. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So my first year in the NFL, we played in the Meadowlands, and that was a pretty big shithole. It had the old, remember the old high school like metal lockers that you would like go with the big latch and you could put your lock on. It had those type of lockers. God. It had the old wooden benches that were like bolted into the ground and that both sides of the lockers would share. But the worst part, it had like a row of prison showers that you had to use. And only like 4 or 5 of the heads even had water coming out of them. And of those 4 or 5 heads that actually had water coming out of, only a couple of them actually had hot water. So there was a line of because this was preseason. So there was like 100 players on the team at that time in the preseason. And so there's a line of 100 guys waiting for like the 3 showers that actually have warm water coming out of them. So that was kind of a miserable welcome to the NFL moment for me, even though I was like, this is not what the NFL is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be $1 billion industry and they can't even give us hot water for post-game showers.
like Major League where they got the boat motor in the tub to get everything running. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so the only stadium that still is like that, to my knowledge, is in Buffalo, because I know when the new owners, the Pagulas, took over for the Bills, they wanted to do a whole new stadium, but they weren't able to get like a referendum passed or whatever, phony bony politics that they have to get done to get free money from the city. So what they did was like just an overhaul or like an addition, but they didn't change the visitors locker room, and so that's pretty crappy in there. And I remember playing in Buffalo, they actually had the locker room attendant come through with the largest like industrial size Febreze can that you've ever seen. It almost looked like those people that around businesses spray for mosquitoes. They're like fogging for mosquitoes. That's what they were doing in the visiting locker room in Buffalo, because it smelled so bad because of the way the sewage pipes were. I don't know if they'd like rusted or they just didn't have very good ventilation, but like the sewer smell like backed up into the visitors locker room. So to cover it up, they were using like this industrial Febreze fogger in the locker room every 15 minutes. So those are my two least favorite probably that I played in.
Just a mixture of shit and Febreze. That's
yes.
how you have to smell.
But Lambeau is way worse because those fans have to sit in bleachers. You guys should be loving Adam Thielen. He's looking out for the little guy, right? He doesn't care what the field conditions or the locker room is like. He was thinking about the fans. Fans first. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
So you mentioned, the draft being in Cleveland. Obviously, that was a big thing for you guys, and start opening back up. So as you're there kind of, thinking about that, and then the news breaks from Adam Schefter about Aaron Rodgers not wanting to return to the Packers, what was your initial thought with that?
Well, your initial thought is like, that's got to be a fake tweet. Like somebody read one of the fake Adam Schefter accounts and thought it was real, because we were right about to go on air. I did the pre-draft show for NFL Network, and I was shocked. And the first thing I thought, and this kind of goes back to some of the comments I made the year before when the Packers drafted Jordan Love, was like, wow, he's pretty spiteful to be like dropping this like the day of the draft. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? Like the Packers kind of did this to themselves a little bit. Basically, they bet that Aaron Rodgers' career was done, that he, had started that little steady decline that he had, few injuries in there, and they were betting it was over. And like this was him finally having his moment to get back at them after having his MVP season. So that was like my initial few thoughts right there.
So what? It's come out now that Schefter, it's not like they leaked the information to him that day. So like, I don't know. Do you blame Schefter at all reporting it on draft day? Like, is that weird that he chose that day out of all things? Because it kind of just seems like it was more of like a media thing. Like, hey, it's big draft day. No one really told me this. I just been hearing things. I'm going to pick today to do it.
Yeah, I didn't follow it as closely as you have, so I'd be very interested to hear like how all that came out and came to be, because Adam Schefter is probably one of the most, if not the most reliable insider in the NFL. Like for the most part, when he says something, it's pretty much gold. But if what you're saying is that Aaron Rodgers didn't drop it right at that moment, and that Adam Schefter just decided to make a big story and a big headline for himself and for ESPN.
Well, from what it sounded like, from what Schefter said on the Dan Patrick show, was he had been sort of accumulating a lot of this information since the NFC Championship game. Nothing from a specific direct source, nothing from Aaron Rodgers, nothing from the Packers. And then I don't know if you saw, at least in Packers Twitter, it caused the stir early on that Thursday when Paul Allen, voice of the Minnesota Vikings, is tweeting out that the 49ers have made this offer to Aaron Rodgers to be traded. And from what Schefter said, it sounded like he was expecting this news to kind of break at any point. Like someone's going to break this. It might as well be me. I've got all this information here waiting. I might as well be the one to. This is the time to come forward with this information, because if I don't do it now, it becomes passé at this point. So just kind of getting in front of it. So like it's not coming directly from. That's what I don't get. Is like, because I thought the same thing as you. Like it sounds exactly like Aaron Rodgers flew off to the Kentucky Derby, and right before he hit send on an email to Adam Schefter, turned his out of office on, and turned his computer off and went to the Derby.
Yeah, like I'm with you guys. Initially, I was kind of thinking, well, first of all, that doesn't sound like something Aaron would like say or want to release at that moment. Like I know he was pissed about the Jordan Love stuff, and he's a guy that holds a grudge. Like that's one thing that's pretty well known about Aaron is he keeps score of everything that everybody's saying. but still, that just didn't seem like if he wanted to be traded, that if he truly wanted to be traded, if for some reason, one of the rumors is he wants to go play for a West Coast team. If that's really what he wants, he knows that his best opportunity is to have this come out like a month ago when teams would actually have an opportunity to like make a bid for him and like contact the Packers, and there could be some back and forth before people have already kind of made their draft boards. And so when it came out, then it did kind of seem odd from a timing standpoint, not only like from maybe if Aaron Rodgers dropped it, like that didn't make sense, but also like why would somebody else put this out there? And to me, it seems a little bit unprofessional for Adam Schefter to drop it at that moment, especially because it wasn't like a tidbit of information that he had just gotten. He was basically just reading the tea leaves from what I'm hearing from you and putting it all together at that moment. And then he was worried that somebody was going to scoop him on it. And so he just threw it out there at that moment. And I would have to think that the fact that this is like the biggest moment for the NFL in the offseason, and there is a very anchorman rivalry between ESPN and NFL Network and him and Ian Rappaport. And I can imagine there was probably a little bit of, I better get this before Ian gets this. And, this is our opportunity for ESPN to throw our name out there. And knowing that there would be not enough time to do a lot of fact checking and digging into it because of being an hour or two away from the draft.
So before we go into any more Packer stuff, Anchorman rivalry. So when you guys go to that brawl, what weapon are you bringing? Are you bringing a grenade, a trident? What are you doing?
I'm bringing 2 guns right here. I feel like me versus Adam Schefter is an unfair fight. He can have the trident and the grenade if he wants.
Schefter killed a guy. He killed a guy with a trident. You might lay him low for a while. Joe, so with the Schefter thing coming out saying that it wasn't necessarily something directly from Aaron Rodgers, does Aaron Rodgers share any of the blame for kind of the situation that they're in now? I mean, basically the catalyst was the Jordan Love pick. That's sort of the fuse that got lit. But does Aaron Rodgers share any of the blame of, if it's true that he's telling free agents that he's planning on staying, or if he's telling his teammates that he's not planning on coming back this year, does he share any blame in sort of the situation that gets caused that we're in right now?
Yeah, I definitely think that Aaron shares in the blame. I think there's a lot of blame to go around in this situation, and it's unfortunately it's like a middle school fight at a dance where everybody's sort of got a hand in what's wrong, and it doesn't seem like anybody wants to be the adult and pull themselves out of this situation and find a win-win for both sides. Because in the beginning, I definitely blame the Packers because they swung and missed. They bet that Aaron Rodgers was done. And when you have a generational, maybe the most talented football player of all time at the most important football position, at the quarterback position, you better be damn sure if you're betting that this dude is done. And I think some of that hubris may have played into this based on the fact that, hey, they had Favre. Favre was going back and forth about retiring. So they said, okay, screw you. We're going to draft this guy named Aaron Rodgers. And it turned out pretty good for them. So I think there's a little bit of this ego going into it from their perspective saying, you know what, we did it once, we'll do it again. We think Aaron is maybe declining. He may not be as easy to handle. He's kind of been making us think about having more of a say in personnel lately. So, hey, we'll draft Jordan Love and we'll see how you like that, because we feel like we have the confidence that we can do it again. We caught lightning in a bottle with Aaron. We're going to do it again. And I think they realized pretty quickly after Aaron had his MVP season and after the reports that we've heard that Jordan Love maybe hasn't looked stellar exactly in practice and ready to take over, that they got bit a little bit by that. Now, I think you fast forward and it seems like the Packers have maybe admitted their mistake this offseason by trying to reach out to Aaron Rodgers and trying to sign him to an extension and maybe recommit to him. Hey, we cheated on you, buddy, but here's this nice promise ring. It's like the Kobe, right? Hey, babe, I'm really sorry about what I did, but here's a $5 million ring. How about a sorry? And I won't do it again. And so I think if Aaron Rodgers wanted to be the bigger person, he would accept their apology and say, look, I get it. Like, there's some other things that are important to me. I want this commitment to me so that I don't feel like you're going to go behind my back again and another Jordan Love thing is going to pop up. I want to know that we're partners and we're really trying to win Super Bowls when I'm here, not saving any of these draft picks or salary cap space for when I'm gone. Like, that's what I want from you guys. And so I think if he was willing to bury the hatchet, they would be able to find a win-win situation moving forward.
At what point should he, because I know a lot of people in the Packers world are wanting a statement from Aaron Rodgers, him to just come out and say something. What does he have to gain from that, or what does he have to lose from that, I guess, from a player's perspective?
Yeah, I think that's a hard question. Like, what does he say right now that is going to appease the fans? Because it does seem like he's still upset. Like, trying to, read the tea leaves a little bit from what other people are saying about it. It seems like he's pretty upset about it still, and he is very spiteful, it seems. So I'm not sure what he can say that will make the fans feel better until they come to some type of solution behind closed doors. Like, until him and the Packers figure it out, anything he says is only going to be dissected and maybe make things worse. It's kind of like when you're into a negotiation, like when I was part of the NFLPA and the owners negotiating the last CBA agreement, we were getting really close to having an agreement, and both sides agreed not to talk to the media because we knew if we came out either side, they were going to use their platform talking to the media to try to gain a little bit of leverage to steal those last little few zeros in those contracts. And then it had a chance to kind of derail things. And so I think for him, it might be best to just not say anything right now and allow, if he is interested in staying with the Packers and he is interested in trying to find out a win-win solution for him and the Packers, then maybe saying nothing is the right move. And it should be, it should give Packer fans optimism that he does still want to maybe stay and he does still want to fix things. I think if he did come out and say, look, I'm done in Green Bay, like if he said that publicly, if he said, I do want to go somewhere else, then I think that would be a bad thing. And that's really the only time he could come out and say anything, is if he was done. Because if he still wants to be there, obviously there's still something that he wants out of it before, whether it be contract, whether it be say in personnel. I don't know what exactly it is because he hasn't said, but clearly he wants something. And so I think he wants to keep it quiet until he can get that.
What do you think this does to the locker room? Like, if he leaves, obviously it doesn't really matter because Rodgers is gone. People are going to be upset. But like, even just right now with everything in question, or even if he does sign an extension and come back, is there going to be some kind of mistrust there? Or do you think, since it's a player, like they kind of just have the players' backs? Yeah,
I think overall players, they kind of understand the business side of things with other players. And for the most part, they usually take players' side. I mean, I've been taking Aaron's side since they drafted Jordan Love. And so I certainly understand that he feels like this is a partnership between him and the team. And then when they bet against him, that hurt him. And I guarantee there's a lot of guys in that locker room who understand Aaron's side of things. They wish that they could come to an agreement because obviously they're a much better team when Aaron's there. They have a chance to win a Super Bowl when Aaron's there. They were right there last year with Aaron, so they want him to be able to figure things out. And if he is able to come back and figure things out, I think they will be more than happy to welcome him back with open arms. Now, if he comes back and he's publicly saying, I'm done after this year, like I'm going to play one more year, but then I'm going to force a trade in the offseason, then I think there will be some bad blood. But I don't think that he would ever want to go out and get anything less than 100% from all of his teammates. And if he ever came out and said, hey, this is my last year, I'm leaving after that publicly, or even within the locker room, he really made that known, I think he realizes that that would hurt his chances of being traded, but also, or being traded to the team that he wants, but it also hurt his chances of winning a Super Bowl. And if he's out on that football field as a competitor, he wants to be playing for a Super Bowl or the chance to at least get there and win one.
Joe, let me play a little devil's advocate to you here.
Let's do it. I love it.
Because you are 100% pro Aaron Rodgers. I think that our whole chat here is on board with it. I think there is a sentiment though in Packer Nation questioning I'm not sure exactly the ego of Aaron Rodgers in all of this, because framing it more as, instead of being insulted that the Packers draft Jordan Love and that being sort of a indication of what they think of his talent, instead treating the point is that Aaron Rodgers is maybe being a little too sensitive and saying this is the first time in your 16-year career that we've brought in a quarterback that even remotely had a chance to compete with you. And so the first sign of you having some sort of actual competition at your position, and this is the response. Like, this is it. What do you make of a sentiment like that? Or is this more is it more just like we said before? Jordan Love was kind of the symptom of what's been going on in years prior with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that he was sensitive about the Jordan Love pick, but I think this is how I'd frame that sensitivity. It's because he thought it was him and the Packers, and he was comfortable knowing that he was in their plans and that they were giving everything they could to win when he was there. And a first-round pick is so valuable to the current team because that's a player that can come in and make an impact right away. And all of a sudden, when you're drafting first-round picks to play quarterback, that's the only position on the field that you don't really play both those guys. I guess the Saints, they could make an exception and say, well, we played, we played two guys this past year because we had a situational quarterback, and then we had our quarterback that was sort of like the every down guy. But obviously that's not Jordan Love. Like, they drafted Jordan Love to be Aaron Rodgers' replacement. Maybe it wasn't this past season, but it was certainly within the near future because you only get a first round pick for 4 years. And then you got to make a decision on, do you pay him that 5th year escalator, which is a huge salary, or do we sign him to a new contract? And so basically they were saying, hey, Aaron, we know you're not going to be here within 4 years. And, oh, by the way, also, we don't think you can win a Super Bowl in the next couple of years while you're here, because otherwise we would have used it on a pick that can help us win a Super Bowl. We use this because we're more interested right now in staying competitive and transitioning to somebody else. And now, like I said, I think maybe that he was too sensitive about that because he was insecure about his position within the organization and his ability to maintain the grip of the starting quarterback position for the Packers. And that's why he's held on to it, especially after he spited them and won the MVP. Now it's his opportunity to be like, yeah, I was sensitive about that. I'm still holding that grudge. And so I'm going to try to stick it to you and get back at you for what you did to me in my moment of weakness. You made it worse, because he was sliding a little bit from a statistical standpoint compared to when he was the MVP, a few seasons before. And I think that may have been getting to him, right? But what we saw was him respond, and all of a sudden he responded as the best version of Aaron Rodgers, maybe his greatest career of all time. So I'm not sure if that directly answers your question, and I love sort of getting into that conversation. So let's keep talking about sort of what Packers fans are thinking about and how Aaron could be responding and things like that.
So even though they used their first round pick on Jordan Love, the team got to the NFC Championship 2 seasons in a row. So the team is Super Bowl ready, but when you got to the NFC Championship, it wasn't the defense that dropped the ball. It kind of was Aaron Rodgers and the offense. Is there the team was ready, but at that moment he didn't really perform as well. And there's some other things that happened. So I know they used the first round pick on Jordan Love, but at the end of the day, your team kind of has to perform in the highest moments. And at that time, Aaron Rodgers couldn't capitalize on 3 Tom Brady interceptions.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to play the what if game because it's all speculative and there's no way to ever, settle
Everybody's
that argument.
Right.
Everybody's right, right? And I could say, well, they would be Super Bowl ready if they would have used that first round pick on somebody on offense or somebody on defense, because, in a football game, there's 170, 200 snaps. And any one of those plays, you don't even know which one that could have been, could be the difference of setting yourself up for making a play in the end zone to win the game. Or it could have been you're not even in that situation and you're just taking a knee at the end of the game because you got somebody on defense in the middle of the game had a sack fumble that you wouldn't have gotten unless that player was there. So, there's so many what ifs in the game. As a player, I always thought, I don't want to be the reason. I don't want to be the reason we lost. I don't want to be the reason I put my team in a position that somebody else can lose it for my team. And you never know where you're going to be. But I do know that Jordan Love didn't help that team get to the NFC Championship. I know that he didn't have an effect on the game positively in that NFC Championship. And hey, maybe if that first round pick was a special team corner and all of a sudden he made a big play on special teams. He blocked a punt. Like, that could have been the difference. Like, all I know is definitively Jordan Love was not a difference maker in that NFC Championship game, which could have got them to the Super Bowl, could have won them a Super Bowl. And I'm sure Aaron Rodgers is still looking at that like, hey, I don't care if you don't draft a receiver. Maybe that's what he wanted. Maybe it wasn't. But you could have drafted somebody else that would have been out there helping us.
Todd wants a punter, so they should have drafted.
You could have
got
Tom Tupa, who could have thrown a touchdown pass on a fake punt.
But does it change the argument at all? Because I've had this discussion too of, my family is all like, we had wide receivers there. We could have drafted wide receivers, but then also, if they spend that first round pick instead of like an Isaiah Wilson, like the guy that gets traded after his rookie year and now can't find a job in the league. Does that change the mindset at all? Like, does that change the mindset? Like, if everything else plays out, everything else remains even, and they draft an Isaiah Wilson that can't find his way onto the field, gets traded away as a guaranteed. We know this was an absolute bust right away. Does that change anything? Is it really just the only thing it affects is really just Aaron Rodgers' opinion, right?
It seems like Aaron Rodgers, one of the things he wants is say in personnel, and that would presumably include the draft. And it seems like, to me as an outsider, that the Packers front office has a lot of confidence in their ability to draft based on their history as an organization that's found a lot of good receivers in the middle rounds, in the later rounds, Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams, the list goes on. They've done a pretty good job with a lot of positions. I mean, they've done a really good job drafting and developing for the last 20 years since Ron Wolf has been there. And so I'm guessing that they would argue, if you give them a first round pick, that they could find a pretty good player that's not a quarterback that could help the team win. Now, I don't know if that answers your question. It's a what if question, right?
Right. It's another,
you know what I mean? Like, if you could tell me for sure that this player was a total bust and would have, if nothing else, a negative impact if he was in the game, because typically a first round pick, even if you kind of stink, there's somewhat of an obligation from the front office and the coaching standpoint to at least put him out there. Like, you can't draft a first round. Like, I've been in Cleveland, we had tons of first round picks. My last few years, we drafted 4 guys in the first round over 2 seasons. It was Johnny Manziel, Cam Irving, Danny Shelton, and Justin Gilbert, who was a cornerback we drafted like 4th or 6th overall, who was like, he was out of league in like 2 years. He was a guy like you were talking, total bust, like monumental, top 5, top 10, epic bust. But we started him for a couple years, even though he's getting roasted all the time, because the front office was like, dude, if you don't play that guy, we're going to get fired. If you play him and he sucks, at least we're going to get fired in a couple of years. If you don't play him at all, we're getting fired right now.
So I think the question that everybody's really looking for here is, where does Rodgers play next year? How do you see this playing out, and where does he end up?
Yeah, I think he's in Green Bay. I think the best chance for him to have been traded would have been a month ago, after the NFC Championship game. Like, that's when most of the trades happen, especially the big deal trades, because it's before people have had a chance to address their needs in free agency and the draft. At this point, it's really hard to make a deal that's a win-win, which is what trades are trying to find, when most teams have already kind of put their roster together. They've done the free agency due diligence, and there really isn't as much salary cap flexibility. And so the trade partners become very small in number. And like I said, it becomes really hard to find that win-win. So I do think he's going to remain in Green Bay, especially after that news bomb that you dropped on me at the beginning, that Adam Schefter wasn't reporting things that Aaron Rodgers said. He was just, taking the pulse of what everything was going on with the Aaron Rodgers situation.
Okay, not Packers related. Does Tim Tebow make the Jaguars? Because I really want to know what you think.
Yeah, I actually think he is going to make the Jaguars. I don't think he's going to have like some great impact on the game. I think he'll probably have a few catches. He'll probably not be a very good blocker because he's a quarterback, even though he's a bigger guy. He's been out of the league a long time. He doesn't have a foundation in blocking. Blocking is one of those traits that are trades that take a lot of practice, because it's very technique based and it's power oriented, and you got to learn how to create power from the ground up with your feet, your ankles, knees, and hips, and that takes time to learn. And he just doesn't have that background, even though he is a strong guy in the weight room. But I think the reason he makes the team is because Urban Meyer really likes him from a culture standpoint, right? Urban Meyer's going to come in there with this college mindset, and he's going to try to bring like Florida, Ohio State, Utah, like all those coach
Bowling Green.
places, Bowling Green. Don't forget Bowling Green. Places that he coached, and he was known for building like the tough guy culture. And so I think he's going to try to build that. And when you try to do those things, a lot of times you're trying to build guys from your past that you trust, that you know that they're going to have a good presence in the locker room, but also they'll be sort of the eyes and ears for the coaching staff in the locker room. So you can bet that when Tim Tebow walks down the aisle in the locker room, there's going to be a lot of people going, 5-0, 5-0, and they're going to be very careful talking shit about the coaching staff around Tim Tebow.
Joe, we appreciate your time. I want to get out on one final thing. I'm getting married here in a couple of months, so I need suggestions.
I will be the minister. Sorry.
If you're open 4th of July weekend, come on up.
Yeah, I got nothing going on.
What's a suggestion, a must play on the wedding playlist at a reception that you have?
Oh my God, I haven't been to a wedding in a long time. Jump around, obviously, if you're in Wisconsin, like that's a big one. The House of Pain, and I always loved a lot of the Packers songs. I don't want to work. I don't want to buy.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I think I killed it.
It sounds like I was like a Lambo. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just a Lambo. So that's good. Hey, one thing I do want to leave you with the guys, because I had this discussion with Mitchell Schwartz the other day. He called me up and we were talking about the Aaron Rodgers situation. And I said, one thing that has made Bill Belichick the greatest coach of all time is because he's been really good at removing bias from evaluations on players. Like, he doesn't care if you're a nice guy. He doesn't care if you married his daughter. Like, if you are not going to help the team, he's cutting your ass like tomorrow and he's sending you packing. But another thing he's done is he's very good at like recognizing and accepting the situation he's in and making the best decision from that exact moment moving forward. Like, he doesn't dwell in the past. And I'm really interested to see what happens in Green Bay, because if the reports are true about Aaron Rodgers wanting personnel decision-making power, why don't the Packers give that to him? Give him a 2-year trial period, right? Because obviously the draft is already over, free agency is already over, but we got the Packers got the best out of Aaron Rodgers by challenging him last year and drafting Jordan Love, right? And saying basically, you're done. Okay. He became the best version of himself because he was pissed off about that, right? If you give him ownership over the 53, let's make him the GM. Give him that ownership. Can you imagine the accountability in that locker room? If you look over there and that first ballot Hall of Famer right there, Aaron Rodgers, is in charge of who makes this team and where everybody plays, like, that amount of accountability to that guy would be incredible. So I think you'd see the performance of all those players in the locker room elevate. I think you'd see another MVP version of Aaron Rodgers, right? Because now he's got even more pressure on himself to succeed because they gave me everything I wanted. And you wouldn't have to redo his contract. He's got a very favorable contract when you consider how great he is, when you look at like the Patrick Mahomes deals and things like that. So his contract would give you the ability to still continue to build around him. And in 2 years, what's the worst that's going to happen if Aaron Rodgers is totally bought in? He's completely dialed in and focused. He's still got the same contract, and he's been picking players for 2 years. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Like, you're probably still going to be a really good playoff team. If he leaves and goes somewhere else and you have to just trade him, like, the downside is much, much greater, especially when we don't really know what Jordan Love is. And there's a lot of reports that he's not ready to play right now. And if the situation after 2 years doesn't work out very good, it'll be easy to point to that situation when players want more say in the future to say, hey, it didn't work. Aaron Rodgers was the greatest Packer we've ever had. We tried that with him. It didn't work. So we're certainly not going to try that with you. I think it gives him an ability to like get all those excuses out of the way. And I would love to see them try that. I know it's totally out of the box, but I think in this situation, it would be so cool to watch that happen. And I actually think it's the best thing that could happen to the Packers for the next 2 years.
Joe's just here for the drama. Yeah. he wants the soap opera. Joe wants the soap opera.
We'd have 5 Jake Kumerows on the team.
Yes.
Jake Kumerow, his cousin, whoever he finds.
But think about it. He'd be playing his ass off. And he would know that Aaron Rodgers is going to cut his ass if he doesn't make that catch.
Let's just see Aaron cutting a guy in the huddle.
Yeah, you're done, bro.
Give me your helmet.
Didn't pick up the beer tab last night. See you later, buddy.
Joel, you said we always appreciate you stopping by and taking the time. Much appreciated. We'll talk again soon, I'm sure, as we get closer to the season. But until we talk again, Joe, take it easy and enjoy the soap opera that's going to play out over the next couple of weeks here with the Packers.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me on. I'd love to come back, and I can't wait for you guys to digest what I just told you and to hear your thoughts on making Aaron Rodgers the GM for a 2-year trial period. I think it's going to work. I know it takes a lot of ego being pushed aside for the front office in Green Bay, but I think it's something when you talk about the pros and cons that could very well work.
We'll write a pro and con list. You'll have to come back in a couple weeks.
Can't wait.
We'll go over it.
Yeah. If nothing else, you've created content for us. So that's
yes, you're welcome. That's all we need. That's all we are. We're just content bullshitters.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, guys.
So again, thank you to Joe Thomas for coming on with us. Before we get to our beer bets, real quick, that thought of giving the Aaron Rodgers GM role for 2 years. What's the thoughts? Because we didn't say anything while he was on. What's your first thought?
I don't know. Jimmy made up some homework for us. Jimmy, did you make that pros and cons list?
Do you remember that last part where it said he'll come back in a couple weeks? So I'll make that list in a couple weeks. I'm thinking that right now.
First thoughts on it, though.
My initial thoughts were he's out of his mind. But the more he talked about it, I was like, okay, yeah, you sold me on it. It's different, but Aaron's a different type of quarterback, and I don't like just giving him full reign of the team, but I don't mind having some input and a little bit of control.
Jimmy, talk some sense.
Yeah, terrible idea, Joe Thomas.
I didn't want to tell Joe what to do his face.
If we just have to do it in a couple weeks now. If they did it, I definitely think it's a bad idea, but I would 100% be interested in seeing how this plays out, and I would be very intrigued. It'd have me hook, line, and sinker if they're like, hey, guys, we're going to let Rodgers pick players 4th round through 7th round, and he can cut 10 people each season. I'd be like, okay, let's see what happens.
Here's the thing. We've seen this happen before.
Yeah,
LeBron James had carte blanche of whoever he wanted with the Cavs. And we saw how that plays out. It never works out. It's very easy to say if it's not your team.
Cavs won a championship.
Yeah, they won.
Not with the team. No. Not with the No.
The first team you can't put on LeBron. LeBron did not want Iggy as the center, and
no, I'm talking about after. Yeah, he got a ring out of it.
Yeah, he got a ring. Then it worked.
No, I don't think you can say that it worked.
He went to 4 straight finals and won.
It killed the franchise for years afterwards.
Yeah,
well, do you think?
But it was a franchise that was dead before he came there.
Right, but this is okay. But it's also basketball. It's a different scenario.
Hold on. How many championships did they have before he took the reins?
Are we Cleveland? No, I'm going to answer the question with the question.
Answer the question.
Cleveland? Are we Cleveland?
Not. Is this the
Green
NBA?
Bay? No. Todd, is Green Bay Cleveland?
But this is your
exactly. We do not whore ourselves.
This is what you said.
Yeah, we're going.
You're the one that brought Cleveland into this,
right? And that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that it doesn't
that it's
work.
not a comp. That you can't.
It doesn't work.
You can't. Dan, is Green Bay Cleveland? Is the NBA the FL? You can't. It doesn't make sense. You're drunk. Okay. You're drunk.
No, I don't think I am.
You got two sober guys here making sense.
I don't think I am.
Dan, come on.
I think it ruined.
Jimmy, do you have your letter ready for Dan?
Yeah,
or do you want me to read my?
We really think you have a problem.
Dan, your drinking is really affecting lots of us. It's a 3-pager, so sit tight.
They won that championship because of a lot of different factors. It was not because LeBron James GM ability. It killed the franchise years afterwards.
I forget that winning a championship, a professional championship, has just one factor. That there's only ever just one factor that comes into that. The Buccaneers only won because of one factor. It was just Tom Brady. It had nothing to do with the defense, had nothing to do with anybody else.
But
the only factor that they won the Super Bowl was just Tom Brady. There's factors that go into everything, Dan. I think giving Rodgers a little bit of control over who's on the offense.
I think that's the worst
isn't a
possible
bad
idea
idea
you could ever do. I think it's the worst thing you could do.
I don't know about that.
Because now our players going to be negotiating contracts with Aaron Rodgers.
That's why I don't think that hold on, I'm putting this up because this has never happened to me before. Thank you, Jason.
Real fast.
I don't think that you have him doing that a ton, but I think you bring him in.
Is he the GM? Then what is it?
I said
the line drawn?
He's not the GM. You don't have him controlling everything, but I think you give him some input.
Well, that's vastly different than what Joe was saying. Input, a voice at the table is.
Did you hear what
different.
I said when we first started this conversation?
No, I tuned most of what you say out.
Well, then don't ask me questions.
Todd, are we Cleveland?
Yeah,
that's my go-to
really threw me
now.
off.
Whenever I get frustrated with Todd, I'm just gonna be like, Todd, are we Cleveland? Real quick, let's get through bar bets really quick because we're running way over. I got bar bets for each of the first three picks. The first one for Eric Stokes. Does Eric Stokes take over Kevin King's starting role by the end of the season this year? Yes or no? Jimmy, start us off.
Yes, 5. Nope, 4 Bakhtiari. Sorry, Todd. I'm gonna say, yeah. We drafted him for a reason. First round pick. We only signed Kevin King to that 1-year deal. I think eventually he's going to take over because Kevin King's not that good.
Todd?
5 Bakhtiaris, absolutely. Kevin King, I've said it before. When he's good, he's great, but unfortunately, he plays near to his floor more than his ceiling. So I don't see him hanging out there too long in the starting lineup.
I'm going to go 3, and I'm going to say no. Just because I think that this group likes Kevin King for whatever reason. I think they're not an organization. A Matt LaFleur team just doesn't seem like one that's ready to throw rookies in right away if they have veteran starters that they are familiar with to take over. But I agree. I think that he'll probably be at a certain point, he'll be ready to take over that role. I just don't think that Matt LaFleur pulls the trigger on it. Another starting question, is Josh Myers the starting center week number 1 for the Green Bay Packers, Todd?
5 Bakhtiaris, yes. I think.
Kudos to Nick throwing that preemptive 5 Bakhtiaris up there.
Yeah. Good job, Nick. I really, really pulled a fast one on you there. I think. Look, who's he got to beat out? Lucas Patrick.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, yeah. I think he starts.
Yeah. Jimmy,
after that last point, I'm going 5 Bakhtiaris. Yes, they drafted him second round. He's probably our most natural center on there. I guess we have Hansen, but I'm gonna go.
Yeah, that's my thing is, I think that as a prospect, if Bakhtiari wasn't hurt, I think they would like to have him wait a little bit, sort of like what they were trying to do with John Runyon, not put him in right away, give him some time to develop a little bit, and then if he needs to come in, then he can come in. But with Bakhtiari being out, I think it's just there's just too many holes that need to be filled. And like you said, second round pick, they're going to want to put him in there. So I'll go 4 Bakhtiaris and yes. Last one here, Amari Rodgers, over under 4 touchdowns this year. I'm interested to see where we go with this because, I mean, with Tunyon having the best statistical season last year, Aaron Jones is back. Devontae Adams is Devontae Adams. Where does Amari Rodgers fit in here, Jimmy?
5 Bakhtiaris, yes, over 4 touchdowns. Is it just receiving touchdowns or can it be
touchdowns? Just touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm gonna go yes. I think he is our only true natural slot receiver, and I think LaFleur is going to be really creative with him. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a couple rushing touchdowns, and he's a player that can turn stuff turn a small catch into a big gang. So 5 Bakhtiaris, yes.
Todd?
I'd like to go 5 Bakhtiaris over. I just think he's enough of a weapon that, like Jimmy said, he's versatile. He might be returning kicks and punts. Not that our special teams has ever blocked anybody for a returner to get some room. But hell, who knows? It could happen. So yeah, I think he'll find the end zone 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, I agree. 5 Bakhtiaris, mark it down here. 4 touchdowns in regular offensive play. Last game of the season, runs back a game-winning kickoff touchdown to break 5 touchdowns. Super Bowl, Amari Rodgers, Super Bowl MVP.
So it's not even just a normal kick return for a touchdown. It's a kick return
game winner.
Okay.
Buzzer beater, kickoff return.
Makes
the
sense.
The band is still on the field. Amari Rodgers. What'd you say?
I said I'm all for it. I don't think that's too much to ask at all.
Speak it, and the universe will provide. That's gonna do it for us, guys, in a special edition of Lombardi's Bar. Todd, Jimmy, you want to let people know where they can find you?
Todd.
At the Todd V on Twitter and Instagram. You can catch me on Thursdays with Jimmy and Aaron for Whiskaholics. And then you can also catch me Mondays and Fridays at Walking Off Podcast, or at Walking Off Pod, I'm sorry, for everything Brewers related. And then we do nightly recaps over there as well. So feel free to check me out there.
Jimmy?
Todd's a busy guy. You can follow me on Twitter at Jimmy_C08. Like Todd mentioned, we have that every Thursday. Whiskaholics, me, Todd, and Aaron have that show coming out. Thursday mornings, you can hear me on Pack a Day Podcast with Jacob and Maggie. And then we'll be doing this every Wednesday, come closer to the season.
Very cool. And I'm on Twitter as well at DK All The Way. You can find me there. Be doing probably some other fun, weird, stupid stuff for Game On over the summer. But every other Tuesday, you can find me on Pack a Day Podcast with Janelle Mackey and our newest edition, Eli Berkovitz, as well. For producer Nick, for Jimmy, for Todd, Dan the bartender signing off here from Lombardi's Bar. Everybody, until we talk again, stay safe and cheers. Go Pack Go, everyone.
Go Pack Go.